Okay, so we were just doing the easier case when the leading coefficient is a 1, and I showed you if there's a negative in front, you factor it out from all three terms. I just want to do this case again so you can see another example. So I just threw one on the bottom here. So it's the same idea. If there's a negative in front, you have to factor it out from all three terms. Okay, so all three terms will go opposite in sign. Let's see here, what do we got? 2 times 28, 4 times 1, 14, and 7 times 8. Okay, it has to multiply to a negative but add to a positive. Okay, the smaller number has to be negative, so it's this one. So it's negative j minus 7 times j plus 8. Okay, and again, it doesn't matter which order you write this in. Alright, so in intermediate algebra, it's very common to be factoring in two variables, and if it's the first time you're seeing this, it's not that bad to figure it out. So let me just first talk about the variables. So whatever in the front stays in the front position. So like v squared's in the front, so I'm going to put v's in the front. W is in the back, so I'm going to put w's in the back. And this will work out correctly. Now you just have to figure out the number, right? It has to multiply to 6, but it has to add to 7, right? This number makes this number because the leading coefficient's a 1. All right, so the only thing that'll do that is this, so it's plus 1w plus 6w. And again, you don't need to write the 1, I just wrote it, but you don't need to write it. Because 1 times 6 is 6, 1 plus 6 is 7. Alright, let me do that for this one as well, just so you can see two variables. Alright, so this one now has two variables. So again, when you're going to be factoring it in the long run, n is in the front, so n sits in the front position. M is in the back, so M is going to sit in the back position. Now this one has an extra step in it. It actually has a common factor in it. So you actually need to pull that out first. That's actually always the first step. Pull out any common factors. This is driving my brain a little crazy because I like everything in alphabetical order, and this obviously isn't. My brain likes patterns and order. Alright, so now we pulled out the 5. So this is truly the easier case where there's a 1 in the middle. Has to multiply to 12, add to 8. Okay, this adds to 8. Don't forget to pull the 5 down to the final answer. Okay, and then we get this. This multiplies to 12, this adds to 8, and we pull down the 5 in the front. Alright, let me see what else I have in the next one here. Okay, more common factors. So the first step in all these problems, I'm starting off as basic as I can. The first step in all these problems is really to take out the common factor. That should be your first thought when you start any kind of factoring. So you could be like, oh, is there a common factor? And your brain says no. And then you just go on to the next step. Alright, so this definitely has a common factor. Okay, so we can take out a 4. Remember, common factor is always the lowest exponent. So 3 is the lowest exponent. C is the lowest exponent. I like to use brackets. It doesn't matter if you use brackets or parentheses. I just personally like brackets. Alright, so let's see what's left here. B squared C squared minus 11 B C. 4 goes in here. 1's 8 B C. Okay. Alright, so this one looks a little weird, but this is actually quite factorable. So in terms of the variables, to make a b squared, you need a b times a b. To make a c squared in the front, you need a c times a c. Or another way to look at it is to make b squared c squared, you need bc times bc. Alright, to make an 18, that's 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. It has to multiply to a positive but add to a negative, so that's the case where it's a double negative. And it's going to be this one here. So minus 2 minus 9. Because negative 2 times negative 9 makes positive 18. And negative 2 plus negative 9 makes negative 11. Okay, that's the final answer there. So any common factors, like I said earlier, you just dangle them out in front and you just keep carrying them along to your final answer. All right, you will get some cases where it doesn't factor. So if you look at this one, the number on the end is too tiny to make this big number in the middle, right? The only ways to make 8 is 1 times 8 and 2 times 4, and there's no way that's going to make such a big number as negative 16. So your book will call this prime, and feel free to call it prime. Also, I don't tend to give too much prime on the exam because I want to actually see that you know how to factor. But if you don't want to write prime, you can also write in your homework not factorable. They're both fine, okay? All right, gang, I'm going to end this video here and pick up in another one. Bye-bye.